Welcome to Spray Like Nation, concrete gurus, concrete neophytes, all those that love concrete. Got my buddy here, Brent again. We're standing on a tailgate, wanting to talk about more concrete. Oddly enough, kind of one of our favorite subjects. Today, we've talked about flexural strengths and compressive strength. We even talked about maturity meter.
Yep.
And how to estimate in-place concrete strengths. But what happens when your cylinders break low and you're concerned about the concrete in place and you don't have a maturity meter to check? What do we do when we're wanting to troubleshoot those low concrete strengths? Not that it ever happens.
Oh, no, of course.
But just in case.
Just in case there's a low.
Somebody ran over your cylinders, with a track hoe, backhoe, or dozer.
That has happened to me.
That has happened, yes. And so therefore you really can't test the cylinders that you had, because we all know that on every job site the cylinders are placed over somewhere safe, away from everything, in a box or
60 to 80 degrees initial curing temp and all the above.
Yep. No one ever just sets them off. So anyway, if there is a problem,
well,
what do you want to do?
For me, it starts with the lesson that you and I learned 20-something years ago when I was working for a concrete company and you were working for a testing lab. And this very topic came up. And rather than pointing fingers, you and I made the decision, I believe it was over a burrito one day at a Mexican restaurant.
Sounds about right.
Yep. We made the decision that we weren't going to have an adversarial relationship. We were going to work very hard to find out the answers for the GC and the owner to make sure that the concrete job that those guys were paying for was there and was real. And it started with that relationship for us and being able to pick up the phone and talk to each other rather than picking up the phone and yelling at each other or pointing blame or whatever. So I wanted to start with that, Josh, because that communication
is vital.
Part of it, yeah.
And the more we communicate on job sites and with testing, the better we're all going to be. And so speaking of communication,
yeah,
generally when we've talked about doing some low strength concrete investigations,
yeah,
I've generally done 3. I like one a whole lot better than the other 2.
Yes.
But I'm a test man, so. Yes. And really we've done the rebound hammer, the Windsor probe, yep, and my personal favorite, concrete coring.
Yeah. So that's because you got paid for it back when you were in the lab.
Paid for all of it, but it wasn't that. No. There is something relaxing about just turning a concrete drill on and just letting it do its job through concrete. And
you're weird.
I never claimed that I wasn't, but
yeah. So there's some non-destructive testing options out there, like Schmidt hammer, like Windsor probe. My experience tells me that those are always performed best and will give you the best feel for what's going on if you run them in tandem. I don't like just taking one NDT method and taking it and making a sweeping claim that concrete's good or concrete's bad.
Because they're more indicators. Like a rebound hammer is really an indicator of concrete hardness, which can be correlated to concrete compressive strength. Windsor probe, similar thing. You're actually shooting a probe into the concrete to check penetration, sure, to correlate to compressive strength. Whereas coring is compressive strength of the concrete in place.
Yes. There are some things to remember with coring on extracting those cores in the proper way and treating them the proper way so that
bagging them up, keeping the moisture in them, and treating them properly.
Yeah. So really, when it comes to troubleshooting low compressive strengths on site, we didn't quite hit it, but the NDT methods can actually focus your efforts on where you might want to core.
I was going to get to that.
Oh, well, sorry.
No, it's okay. Depending on what it is, I would actually use all 3. I could use a rebound hammer to quickly figure out, if from a hardness standpoint, where I had the highest numbers, where I had the lowest numbers, and the lowest numbers are where the ones I'd want to go core. I've actually used it where I had some cylinders from the job of the same mix.
Yeah.
Hit the rebound hammer on the cylinders, broke it to get a true compression strength on it and could run it that way versus just using the graph that's on the rebound hammer to give me a better indication of what was actually going on in the field.
That's not a bad idea at all. Now, when did you use this calibrated sledgehammer that you've brought up a few times?
Just your mixes.
Oh, just my mixes back in the day? All right, yeah, that explains a lot. No, I'm kidding.
No, I've never used a calibrated sledgehammer. As much as I joked about it,
It was just a joke.
It's just a joke.
Just a joke.
Counter brace slanted hammer is a load frame.
There's nothing funny about low concrete strengths. It's the one thing other than maybe slump that can cause contractors to go through the roof and be very upset. So as QC guys, technicians, testing labs, that's when we have to be on our game and be calm, cool, collected, communicate well, investigate with a plan that makes sense, involve the engineer that's the engineer record on the project, and make sure that the tests are performed to his satisfaction, and that the answer you get is an answer of the concrete's good, or it might need some help to perform as the engineer intends for the structure. Whatever that might be. It might have to be a column that gets wrapped, or it might be concrete that gets torn out, or whatever and replaced. So hopefully not. Yeah, we don't like to see that. So thank you so much for joining us today. Troubleshooting in-place compressive strength results or strength results in general, or it can be a challenge, but it's something that with a clear communication and a good plan doesn't have to be all that painful for you. Thank you so much for joining us, and Josh here will give you a hand if you put some questions down in the box below. Oh yeah.